can show you a nice little graph.
Okay.
Can you see that? Can you
Oh
see that?
my gosh.
That is the M1 money supply, and that is sourced from the Federal Reserve.
Okay, let's start with just personally, how did you even like learn about crypto and start getting interested to the point where you're willing to actually like start investing money and time and whatnot into like hardware and different stuff to actually try and do this?
So there was a big boom in 2017. That was the last big crypto boom that happened,
Okay.
and it sort of caught my eye. And I was like, huh, this looks pretty lucrative. And I have a big background in computers, so I was like, hey, maybe I could get into this mining stuff. But right before I was about to jump in, the markets crashed, and I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, so it scared me, and I didn't even get into it.
Okay.
And then fast forward, we all know what happened in 2020. Yeah, that was the tipping point when I started seeing all this giant money spending from our government. And I mean, that's been happening for years at this point now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to see if I could break free of, not necessarily break free of the financial system, but sort of put my money in a place that will have value later on down the line.
Yeah. Kind of have a plan B almost.
Yeah, it's a good plan B. I don't have obviously you don't want all your eggs in one basket, but
Yeah.
I got an egg here, an egg there, so
Yeah, for sure. And then that basically is in, because we've talked before, like you have like you've bought or mined or whatever, either crypto or Bitcoin, which is like basically the number one crypto, so to speak. And
yeah,
then
it's the gold standard of crypto.
okay, and then Ethereum is kind of like the runner up, like number two, basically.
Yeah, I like to think of Bitcoin as the gold standard and Ethereum as like the oil of crypto, basically. So it makes everything. So it makes a lot of things work. A lot of decentralized aspects of cryptocurrency. It makes a lot of those things work. There's actually like 20, probably more than 20, honestly. There's so many different coins that use the Ethereum network. So yeah, there's a lot of potential in Ethereum, and it's gaining a lot of traction in these recent years. I like it a lot.
Okay. Let's talk about just for a minute why someone would want to get into using any sort of crypto in the first place. So you kind of talked about like, diversifying, and because of, the government and the Federal Reserve printing off all this money, especially during all this COVID stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've sort of just been learning recently, like what that means. Like, I think you texted me and you said that the government printed like 40% of the money supply in the past year or something like that.
Yeah, the M1 money supply. There's a couple different versions. There's the M1, which is the physical currency. M2, it gets a little more complicated as you go down, but there's M1, M2, and M3, and yeah, M1 money supply. They printed quite a lot of money in the past year.
Is that
quite a lot?
Is that 40% of like the previous? So like, let's say there was one trillion.
Total.
So
here's the thing. This is source Federal Reserve. Yeah, I can. Yeah,
that's okay. So we're kind of laughing, but what does that mean for like the average person?
Hyperinflation. Your money is worth less. You can see it at the grocery store right now. Even like, you probably noticed, meat is going up like crazy.
Yes.
Technology, anything with a chip in it right now. So at these Ford manufacturers and these Ford facilities, they have like literally thousands of cars just sitting in the parking lot that aren't complete and aren't built yet because they're waiting on the chips to come from Taiwan to get into the car. So because of COVID, it has really exasperated the supply chain issue that we have, and it's just caused everything to skyrocket. And a lot of it is supply issue, but a big portion of it also is the fact that our dollar is becoming worth less and less every day. I think I was reading somewhere that every month your dollar is worth 1% to 2% less every single month since basically the beginning of 2020, since we've been, printing so much money. And
that's insane.
Crazy.
So that's like 1 year. So from 2020 to 2021, so it's going, that's like 12% basically.
Yeah.
Like that's a conservative.
Yeah, that's the low. Like that's very conservative. Yeah.
So like, sure. I'm trying to think. So that's like if you have 100 grand in the bank, all of a sudden it's basically worth 88.
Minimum, it's worth 12% less over a year. Yeah. If you just have money sitting there.
Right. And then so in theory, the value of going to crypto is that, let's say you just have most people don't have 100 grand sitting around, but let's say you have like 5,000 for a savings account or whatever, and you decided to translate that to Bitcoin, because theoretically it's a decent store of value, which basically just means that you're putting it in like a technological safe, basically, where it's not gonna just like decrease over time because of the government, essentially.
Yeah, it's a good hedge against inflation, basically. I like to think of Bitcoin as like the apex asset. Like you can move it anywhere, you own it, it is yours. You can trade it to anyone at any time. It isn't locked in. Like if you were to buy a real estate somewhere that is locked in that location, you can't move it. It is there. Like if you buy a stock on the stock market, it has no intrinsic value beyond the stock market. Like you can't take your stock and say, hey, here you go. Like it's Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general is extremely easy to move around. It's extremely easy to trade. It's extremely easy to buy, and it's extremely easy to sell. It's a great asset. And I think as the years go on, a lot of other people are going to start realizing that, this stuff is it's a good investment, and it's a good, I want to say
we're not giving financial advice.
Financial advisor. I don't take anything at face value that I say. Do your own research.
Yeah,
that's the best way to have success in any market or any asset. Arm yourself with knowledge.
Yeah,
and that's
for sure.
I'm hopefully going to bring some knowledge to the table in what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah. Okay. So, do we want to just start with Bitcoin and kind of break that down a little bit?
Bitcoin is the easiest way to wrap your head around cryptocurrency. So like I said, it's a store. That Bitcoin is a store of value, sort of like a stock. You can actually go onto crypto exchange websites or just crypto charts, and you can look at hour by hour, day by day, week by week, year by year, where crypto has been, where it is, and stuff like that. And it's really similar to a stock. So crypto lives and dies by something called a blockchain. And I'm sure you've heard of blockchain. I'm sure like people have heard murmurings of blockchain when they hear about crypto, but it's kind of confusing unless it actually is kind of confusing, but it's the way that all of these transactions are legitimate and it's secure, and there's no way to really forge. There's no way to like say, oh, instead of $100, I have $100,000. You can't do that because of the blockchain. So they get into that. If you think of the blockchain as a financial transaction ledger. It's really easy to wrap your head around. So in a ledger, you instead of saying Mary owes Bob $6 and then Bob owes Jack $40, you instead of the money going from one person to the next person to the next person, a ledger would just write down the transactions of who owes what and what is going where. And at the end of a day, week, month, whatever, the totals are calculated, and then it says like Mary owes this much, Bob owes this much, and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
it's basically a ledger is a financial ledger is just a way to track who owns what, when it basically who, when, where, well, maybe not where, but who, what, and how much. That's what basically a ledger. So that's what a blockchain is. And if you think of how a financial ledger works, you can sort of put that into terms of how a blockchain works. So hold on, here we go. So a blockchain is exactly what it sounds like. It is a chain of blocks, and these blocks hold data.
Okay.
And the data consists of metadata, the who, the what, and the how much.
Okay.
I'm just talking about the Bitcoin blockchain for right now, because Bitcoin blockchain is really easy to understand. Bitcoin blockchain is simple and it's effective. That's why it's so good.
Okay.
So once you write data into a block, it's extremely hard to change, because if you can imagine a chain of blocks, if you change one block, the other blocks are going to react and say, hey, this block doesn't match the chain, what's going on? It's going to spit out that invalid block if you try to go in the blockchain and change the data.
Okay.
So for Bitcoin,
it's basically, so it would be impossible to, like, for some Russian hacker to, like, go into this blockchain and switch around a couple blocks here and there, so that, maybe someone now has like 1 million Bitcoin instead of 1,000 or whatever.
Yeah, it would be extremely difficult, nearly impossible to do that. They would have to have something that's called, I think it's some sort of superiority. I forget the exact term, but they would need to basically have over 51% or more of the Bitcoin mining machines up and running, and then they could theoretically change it. But that's something that's called a 51% attack.
Okay.
But you need like literally trillions of dollars to be able to do that, because you need to set up all these computers it would be really, really hard. But it is possible. But it's really difficult.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
No, yeah. If you have any questions, please stop me.
Yeah. Okay.
So for Bitcoin, each block in the blockchain contains data, hash, and the hash of the previous block. So for data, like I said, it contains the transaction details, who, what, and how much.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple.
Yeah.
For hash, the hash is the unique identifier of the specific block. So think of it as like a fingerprint.
Okay.
You can't really, it would be really hard to replicate it. You can with computers. I'll get into why that is solved already. But you could theoretically, with how fast computers are today, you could theoretically change the hashes and manipulate it yourself. But again, I'll get into why that's literally impossible now.
Okay.
So yeah, there's the hash that is basically the fingerprint of the block. And if you try to change something about the block, like the data, the hash value, the fingerprint is changed as well. So immediately when you change data, the fingerprint is completely changed. And that's basically how it secures itself. So, and there's also the last part, the previous hash. So it fits the previous block by matching its hash value. So if someone were to try to change a transaction from $100 to $100,000, it wouldn't match the hash on the blockchain, and it would be rejected by the entire blockchain itself, because these blocks in the blockchain are meant to fit together perfectly. And if anything's changed, it doesn't fit and it's spit out, it's rejected. So that is a very brief overview of how a blockchain works. And it, like I said, the blockchain is just how crypto works in general, and how automated money works in general. So you don't need a middleman. You don't need like a bank to say, oh yeah, you do owe this much, or you don't owe this much, or they can't go and change a value in a computer. It's all decentralized. It's all on a chain of data that cannot be manipulated.
Yeah.
I mean, it can, but you need tons and tons of money and power to do that. I don't even think governments really have enough of that.
Yeah.
At this point. Hold on. So let's get back. Yeah, we're talking about Bitcoin still and its blockchain. So now that we've gotten that over with, the way, so hash, like I said, hash values alone aren't exactly enough to maintain the security of these blocks, because computers are super powerful these days, and they can spit out hundreds of thousands of hashes per second, and they can sort of fit together, and they could manipulate the blockchain if throw enough power at it. But the way you avoid this is by proof of work. So this is where the miners come in. These are where these mining machines are essentially processing transactions on the blockchain, and they verify data and verify it's all working correctly. And through that is how you circumvent the issue of someone just saying, hey, this hash is that hash and whatever. So proof of work is designed to slow the creation of blocks. So you couldn't just, generate your own blocks at any rate that you wanted to, depending on how much power you throw at it. You need to, proof of work slows down the creation of blocks to make it extremely hard for someone to go in and start generating their own blocks and try to manipulate the blockchain. It is, it's the way things are sort of secured. And they use, proof of work uses computers. So it either uses something called ASICs, which are specifically designed to do one thing, like mine either Bitcoin or mine Ethereum, but it's only designed to do that one thing. And when it can't do that one thing anymore, it's thrown out, it's trash. But there's also graphics card mining. And this is where a lot of the home hobbyists come in, and they buy these graphics cards, and it's a lot better for the environment overall, because you don't have to throw out the graphics cards when you're done with it, and it doesn't become viable anymore to mine on it after a while. You can go ahead and sell the graphics cards and make some of that money back that you invested as well. So not only do you have crypto, but you have the money back that you got from selling the cards on like eBay or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, whatever.
Okay.
So the people that run these various computers, hold on. Miners are paid out a portion of the currency as a reward for solving the specific block. So they're rewarded in, say, Bitcoin when these computers are validating these transactions. When they solve a block, they are rewarded in Bitcoin. So that's how the hash issue of a block in the blockchain is sort of solved through proof of work. And then there's also something called proof of stake, which is it's kind of weird to wrap your head around, but you're putting, instead of having a computer verify transactions. You're using your own cryptocurrency on that blockchain to validate the transaction. So you're putting collateral. You're using your coin as collateral, and you store that value in a block on the blockchain, and that block on the blockchain will then start validating transactions that happen on the chain, and you can actually make money sort of like mining by staking. So your money is literally generating money. It's pretty interesting, but at the same time you can't use the currency that you are staking as well. So you're sort of you're putting it out there, and you have to be very confident on the blockchain that you're staking on, because you could lose it all. You could lose it all.
Dang. Okay. So it's kind of like a investment sort of thing.
Yeah.
In a way.
Proof of stake uses a lot less energy, obviously, because you're not using tons of computers to calculate all these things with proof of work. Proof of stake is very fast too. So getting back to Bitcoin in its more general term, I just got into a lot of nitty-gritty details, but it's really important to understand how a blockchain works, because then you can sort of wrap your head around the entire ecosystem, because obviously there's tons and tons of coins beyond Bitcoin that solve tons and tons of problems that we have on the internet currently. But just talking about Bitcoin still, what gives Bitcoin value is its scarcity. There's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin ever created, ever. And it is deflationary by default because people can lose it. Like, I heard the story of this guy who had millions of dollars of cryptocurrency on a flash drive that was encrypted with a password. And he didn't remember the password, and he literally lost millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin.
Dude.
And stuff like that happens every day. People forget their password, they lose Bitcoin. If you try to send Bitcoin to a invalid address, it's gone. It's just gone. You can't get it back.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
You have to be really, really careful when you're dealing with this stuff, because at the end of the day with cryptocurrency, you are your own banker. You're not relying on Chase or Bank of America or Fifth Third or anything like that to sort of manage your money. You are your own banker. It's a blessing and a curse, because you do own your own money. It is yours, but you have to be careful with it, and you have to secure it. So a good place to start if you want to get into crypto, like I know that just all sounded scary to some people listening, but it shouldn't be scary. It should be liberating, because you own it. It is yours. If you try to go to your bank and withdraw $100,000, let's say, you're not going to be able to get that money. They probably don't have $100,000 at a tiny little bank. You'll probably have to go somewhere else to get all that money out. But by owning cryptocurrency, you can take all that money and do whatever you want with it. You can, that's your money right there. So a good place to start when you're trying to get into crypto is setting up a wallet. And there's a couple of different options you have for wallets. There's first of all, the most secure wallet it's something called a hard wallet, and it's essentially just a USB stick with tons of blockchain security built into it, and it's stored offline. Which offline is in terms of securing anything on the internet, is the best way to store anything, because no one can access it obviously on the internet. And a hard wallet separates the internet basically from your money. No one can really get into it unless they have they physically have access to that wallet. Sort of, if you think about like a USB stick, sort of look like this.
So unless someone steals your USB stick basically, and then is able to, and then also knows the password on your stick, then it's basically impossible to get your money on there.
Yeah, basically. You have to you have to have physical access to it. You have to have the private keys, and you have to have the passwords to it. There's a lot. It is the most secure way to store crypto, especially long term.
Okay.
So there's also online wallets. I think they're considered soft wallets, or like software wallets.
Okay.
So there's services like Exodus and MetaMask and various other soft wallets that where you can store your crypto, but you want to be careful that they have private keys that are only visible to you. Because if you don't have a private key, it technically isn't yours. Someone else has the access to that key. So
okay, what do you mean by a private key? Is that you just mean the password?
yeah, it's basically the password. So when you set up a private key wallet, it'll give you a string of letters, or a string of words, I should say, like 12 words.
Yeah.
And that is essentially your private key. You definitely have to write it down somewhere physically. I want to definitely emphasize to anyone thinking about getting into this stuff, do not store any of your private keys, any of your information, or anything like that on a digital device. You want to write it down somewhere, like in a notebook, because anything you put on the internet is basically susceptible to someone getting that information.
Yeah.
And yeah, the best way you can protect yourself is by setting up like a notebook somewhere that it can track and keep hold of all this information.
Yeah. And what I did is I just put all my stuff like on a note card, and then just put it with all of my other super valuable documents like my birth certificate and passport and all that kind of stuff. And then I made a copy of it, and then I gave it to my dad.
That's good.
Then like if my house burns down or something, then he's got a copy of it as well.
Yep, that's good thinking. Also, there's one more form of wallet, and I just kind of briefly went over it. There's a wallet that you don't have access to your private keys, and that's usually on crypto exchanges like Coinbase, crypto.com, where when you're buying and trading cryptocurrency from these exchanges, you're trading the US dollar basically for whatever crypto you want. The wallet that they give you on that service is not technically your wallet. They have access and control of that wallet.
Okay.
And you want to try to make sure that you don't store crypto in a exchange for a long period of time, because if Coinbase or something were to get hacked and their wallet was compromised, their wallet is your wallet. It's basically, for Coinbase in particular, they literally is a giant wallet that is connecting everybody else to that wallet, essentially. Okay. And that actually happened in 2017. Coinbase was hacked, and everybody holding crypto in their wallet got screwed. They lost everything.
In their Coinbase wallet.
Yeah, in their Coinbase wallet. Yeah. So you want to make sure you do not leave money in a crypto exchange for a long period of time. You want to only leave it in there if you're a trader, if you're constantly trading it back and forth and stuff like that. But in 2017, a big reason that it crashed was because of the Coinbase hack and the fact that everyone lost like tons of money. Well, not everyone, but everyone dealing. A lot of people. Yeah. It basically crashed everything. It was pretty bad.
Okay. So then it's like, because I personally have the soft wallet, so the Exodus, right?
Yeah.
And then I haven't done any trading or anything like that. But let's say I wanted to, like, I bought $100 worth of Bitcoin or something. So I do that, I buy that, and then the $100 worth of Bitcoin is sitting in my, let's say I use Coinbase, it's sitting in that wallet, and then I can transfer that to my personal wallet, correct?
Yeah, you can. What exchanges usually do when you buy cryptocurrency is you're not allowed to move it for a certain period of time, just for just for security on their end. They don't want to get scammed themselves, obviously.
Okay.
But the soonest you can move that cryptocurrency to another wallet, do it, because you technically don't own that currency. It's technically not your wallet. It is the exchange's wallet.
Okay.
It's basically the only way they can do that type of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So let's see here.
And then so once you would set up your wallet, then there's kind of, from my understanding, two ways that you can start getting different cryptocurrency, which number one is you can just buy it using what you were talking about, just
Exchanges.
just exchanging. So I'm either buying Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever other kind of crypto. And then, which kind of works like the stock market. I feel like most people can kind of
Yeah.
understand how that works.
It's very similar.
Because
Yeah, it has the same patterns and stuff like that. So people have probably heard of the Wyckoff patterns. Happens all the time in crypto. Yeah, I mean, market manipulation is also a thing. It happens in the stock market, happens in crypto.
yeah,
They're very similar.
okay. And then another way to go is just mining.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something that you've been doing and I've been doing a little bit,
Yeah.
but let's talk about like that process a little bit and what that looks like.
Okay, so there's like I was saying earlier, there's two types of mining. There's ASIC mining, which is it can only crunch one specific blockchain, and that's it. That's all it will ever do. And when it becomes obsolete, it gets thrown in the trash and becomes e-waste. It's really unfortunate.
Okay.
But that's how a lot of, especially on the Bitcoin blockchain, Bitcoin blockchain is primarily done on ASIC computers. Yeah, that's primarily what that does.
Is that like the brand of computers, like ASIC, like the brand, or is it
It's an
something?
acronym. I forget exactly what it
Oh,
stands
okay.
for, but it's a specific type of computer that only does one thing. It only crunches one algorithm in one blockchain, and
Okay.
once it becomes obsolete, there's no use for it, so it gets thrown away.
So it's basically just like a specific computer made specifically for mining Bitcoin, and that's it.
Yeah, it has a lot of similar components that go into a graphics card,
Yeah.
but it is extremely fine-tuned for crunching one specific math problem
Okay.
over and over and over and over again.
That makes sense.
But then there's also graphics card mining, and it's definitely a lot better for the environment for sure,
Okay.
because it doesn't become e-waste immediately. It doesn't get thrown into a landfill once a graphics card isn't viable to mine on anymore, whether it becomes, the power requirement to power it is literally not enough. It's not generating enough money to make up the power requirements for running it.
Okay.
And once that happens, you don't need to throw it away. Actually, it'd be really bad if you threw it away because you'd be throwing away money.
Yeah.
You can go onto a third party site like eBay, or you can just call your friend and say, hey, you want to buy a graphics card from me?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to get thrown into the trash. There's tons of uses. Also, I think graphics card mining is better than ASIC mining, because graphics cards can mine tons and tons and tons of different coins. It's not just like the big graphics cards algorithm to be mining right now is Ethereum, and it's very profitable right now. But a lot of people don't realize that there's tons of other coins, like 20 plus coins, that you could also be mining.
Yeah.
There's Raven coin, there's
Litecoin.
there's Zcash. There's so many different algorithms you can mine on a graphics card. It's way more viable, honestly, than using an ASIC, because an ASIC, like I said, just gets thrown away after it becomes useless.
For sure. Okay, and then let's dive a little bit into like what the mining actually is. Like, what's going on when your computer is like mining? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So try to think. Hold on. It's yeah.
Because when I first heard it, I'm like, okay, your computer is like basically there's like this, technological wall, like this brick wall basically, and your computer is somehow like taking a pickaxe and just like hitting the wall over and over again, and then
If
these
you
little like chunks fall to your feet, and then you grab them, and that's like your crypto,
it's you're pretty close, honestly. If you think of that wall, if you think of that wall as the block on the blockchain,
Okay.
that is essentially what you're doing. So
Okay.
there's these nodes that miners go after, and these nodes are what yield the block reward. You get rewarded in the currency that you are currently mining. So I think the block reward for Ethereum, when you solve a block, the block reward for Ethereum right now, I think is around 3. It might have dipped back down to around 2, but it's 2 Ethereum per block that is validated. So when a block is solved, 2 Ethereum is rewarded to whoever solved the equation.
Okay.
So if you have tons and tons and tons and more tons of graphics cards and computers, and you have like literally a warehouse full of these devices, you could mine your own node by yourself and get rewarded in 2 to 3 ETH whenever you solve a block.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, for the 99% of people probably, they don't have like a warehouse full of graphics cards and
Right.
computers and stuff.
Yeah.
So they join these things called pools. And
Okay.
these pools, I mean, you can sort of figure it out yourself. These pools it's a pool of all these different computers working on one specific node in one specific block. So it's
Yeah.
not as hard. It doesn't take as long to mine it yourself. You'd be sitting there, God, if you tried to mine a block by yourself on even like 10 graphics cards, you'd be sitting there for like a long time trying to get that one block. And
Okay.
a lot of it would come down to luck too. You got to get kind
Yeah.
of lucky when you're getting that.
So like effectively, so basically your graphics card or singular or plural, however many you have, is basically like rolling its face on a keyboard, basically, just like putting in as many equations as it can possibly like think of.
It's fronting as many as possible.
And then at some point it just gets the actual one that sort of like I'm thinking of like what were those little like Wonder Balls or something when we were kids, and it's like you just freaking open up the thing and there's like a little thing inside. So basically, like once it rolls its face on the keyboard enough and gets the correct thing, then that little egg is going to open up and your Ethereum is there.
Yeah, basically, you're
okay.
It's kind of like gambling with math almost.
Okay.
But this is only, like I said, this is only if you're mining a node by yourself, which is
right.
Not many people do that. That's why there's all these websites like Ethermine, for example. Ethermine.org is a pool, and it is a pool of thousands and thousands and thousands of computers that are mining one specific node. And when the node is solved, instead of just one person getting the reward, everybody in the pool is rewarded.
Right.
Okay. So there's a lot less gambling involved for the little guy, and there's a lot more consistency in terms of you getting rewarded.
Right. Okay. So like when I get home and I check my what is that called? Awesome Miner. So when I check my thing and then it has that like accepted like 584, whatever that number is. So that's how many nodes that I've successfully helped.
It's not the nodes, it's basically the work that you put into it for the pool. It's basically the amount. Yeah, that's the easiest way I could describe it. It's basically the amount of work. It's called like shares, and it's basically the sharing of the amount of work that you've been able to put in. So
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm,
Okay, interesting.
mhm.
I've okay, so um talk so I remember, I don't know if it was you or someone else mentioned something about MasterCard or Visa. It was like one of the credit card companies said that they were going to use the Ethereum network to process their transactions.
Yep, it's Visa, and they're already doing it. It's already happening. There's a exchange, there's a crypto exchange actually right now called crypto.com.
Okay.
And by the way, I want to also say, anyone getting into crypto, be very, very careful what exchanges you get involved in. There's a lot of scams out there. There's tons and tons of crypto exchanges that claim they're crypto exchanges, but they're just scams. You want to do you like I said, the best way in anything in any investment is to educate yourself. Go
Yeah.
online, do your research, figure out what exchanges have worked the best for people, and
Yeah.
that's usually a secure way of doing it. But anyways, like I was
Okay.
saying, there's a exchange called crypto.com, and they have their own credit card now through Visa that you can use. You can pay directly with Bitcoin, you can pay directly with Ethereum, you can pay directly with tons of cryptocurrencies. All you do is swipe your card, and you did it. You converted that crypto into something tangible immediately. This is happening right now. I think it just launched last month or something like that.
So you can
But
buy coffee with Starbucks with your crypto
you
card.
can buy a house. You can buy a house, dude. You can buy anything. But
That's insane.
yeah, it's moving forward, and it is becoming more and more clear that crypto is becoming the future for sure. It's so easy to move around. It's so easy to store. It's just great. It's great technology.
Yeah. Okay, hold on one second. Can you hear this in the background? Can you hear anything in the background?
No.
All right. I can
I couldn't hear
edit
anything, but you're good.
I can edit that out. All right, that actually helps me understand so much more, because like when I was telling people that I was mining Ethereum or whatever.
Yeah, they're probably like, "What the heck does that even mean?" Like,
Yeah.
you're taking a pickaxe to your computer. What do you mean?
I heard about I went to a bachelor party a couple weeks ago, and some of them were talking about like some kind of like weird crypto mining like on their phone. Have you heard of this?
Oh God, no! Stay away from that. That is, do not mine on your phone. That is, I've heard horror stories about that. Do not
Seriously?
mine it. Like, it's 9 times out of 10, it's a scam.
Okay,
It is
so just don't even
not.
mess with that.
First of all, you'll like destroy your phone because of how much heat it's generating. It's like maxing it out, its
Okay.
power all the time. So you'll destroy a phone pretty quick by doing that.
Okay.
But also, a lot of it is just scummy scams. You don't want to get involved in phone mining. That's
Okay.
just not what you want. It's not what you want.
Okay. Okay, so then talking about Visa and whatnot. And I, I think so we could also talk about like the divisibility of crypto, and like if we just focus on Bitcoin, right? Because like so you have a dollar, or if you $100 bill, right? And then you can go down to 50 and 20 and 10 and 5 and 1. And then you
Sure.
can go all the way down to a penny, right? But that's the lowest it can go. And
Yeah.
so the thing with Bitcoin, which is pretty special about it, is that because the problem is the higher value that Bitcoin gets, then you would think that it's, kind of hard to divide that into a small enough little piece to where I can just buy, a coffee from Starbucks with my Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
But the
So I
but
think like a Bitcoin right now is worth like 34,000. So
yeah,
yeah, a single Bitcoin. So to get like a $5 value out of that, it'd be like 0.0000000 something. It'd be
right,
like an incredibly small number
right.
of Bitcoin.
But the thing is, because it's like a digital asset, that's totally fine. Like
Yeah.
you can just do that.
Yeah, you can divide a Bitcoin as much as you want.
Isn't because I heard it was like 100 million times. Is that true? Or is it just even more than that if you wanted to?
I'm not sure the exact the smallest amount that you can use, but it's yeah,
Like super small.
you can get really small with the amount of Bitcoin that you can send. Like if you buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, it's probably like 0.00005 of a Bitcoin. So
Okay,
yeah.
that's crazy. Okay. And the highest that Bitcoin has gotten, because like in 2000 like 11, I think it started 2011, right?
It
Or
started in
around there.
2009,
Okay.
but I think the first bull run was around 2011. Yeah.
Okay. And then, we're looking at maybe like a freaking dollar at some point. Like it's just basically not worth anything. And
Mhm.
then it over time, people start believing in it and start realizing that this is, has a potential to be the future. And then all of a sudden, this one Bitcoin or this Bitcoin that's worth $1 is now the one Bitcoin is worth and it got all the way up to like 63 or something like that,
64,
right?
yeah, 64,000 for one
Okay.
Bitcoin. Yeah.
And now recently in the past like maybe month or so, now it's cut back down in half to 30.
Yeah.
Do you know
Very,
why
very
that
far.
happened?
Uh, Market manipulation, basically. FUD,
Okay.
fear, uncertainty, and doubt. People with weak hands get scared and they get wrecked because they aren't smart. Money is holding on to these coins right now.
Okay.
You do not want to. You only want to be selling in a bull run, like when you're going up. That's the only. You only want to be selling then
Okay.
to maximize your gains. Uh, you don't want to be selling down. That's when a lot of people get scared. They see it's dropping. They're like, oh God, I gotta sell now.
Yeah, and
It's
they
like,
freak
oh,
out.
don't yeah, don't sell.
Oh wait, what did you call it? Scared hands?
Weak hands.
Oh, weak hands. And then
Yeah.
what is diamond hands? I heard the diamond hands, but I don't.
Diamond hands. Yeah. Diamond hands means that you're not giving up anything. You're holding on to it and you
Like
are
no
not
matter
letting go.
what.
You
Okay.
got diamond hands.
But at the end of the day, you have diamonds in your hands because it paid off. Is that
Yes.
kind of like
Yes,
the
that is exactly, yeah.
okay? Interesting.
So
Yeah.
Bitcoin sees major ups and major downs because of how raw the market. There's no regulation in this market. It is a very raw look at what it is actually worth.
Okay.
Like in the stock market, if the overall stock market falls like 20%, they have a lever that they can pull and it shuts down everything and everyone goes home. Like that's market manipulation. That's not being honest with where the market currently is. That in my opinion, that causes even more inflation because it lets everyone cool down. A lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and a lot of the markets have to do with emotion. You have to really believe in what you're investing in, and you cannot get scared when you see red and blood in the streets. You cannot get scared. That is how you get wrecked. That's how you sell your Bitcoin for like 30K, and then the next day you see it back up at 40K, and you're like, why did I sell? Why did I do that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you need to have confidence in what you're investing in for sure, because weak hands don't have confidence at all. Diamond
Yeah,
hands have confidence.
for
You
sure.
gotta,
Gotta have the diamond hands, dude.
yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay. So this is not financial advice, but
None of this. I'm not a
yes,
financial
yeah, yeah,
advisor. I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
stress it again.
I was gonna text you about
I'm
this, but
I'm only telling people what I do.
yeah.
as a person that loves cryptocurrency. I
Okay.
am not a financial advisor. This is just this. These are the strategies that I do.
For sure. And so currently you're mining, you invested in different graphics cards and you're mining Ethereum and you're getting a certain amount every month and whatnot.
Yep.
And then you're also investing some other, so is it, and then you're also investing some extra money and buying crypto and buying maybe more Ethereum and more of different coins? Or are you taking the Ethereum that you're mining every month and then kind of switching it to different things? Or
So
both?
so for mining in particular, there's obviously an energy cost you got to meet every month at the end of
Okay.
every month. These,
Yeah.
these things cost money to run at the end of the day. They
Right.
spit out tons of heat. What I do is I take a portion, a small, tiny portion of my monthly revenue that I get from mining, and I put it towards the energy cost of actually running it. And then everything else that I have, I'm holding because I'm a holder. I'm a big
Yeah.
believer in holding because
Diamond
I
hands.
mean, yeah, if you believe in where this is going, like I do, you'll see 10x's soon. You'll see 100x's soon. Like
Yeah,
this stuff is it's not slowing down. It's just going to keep on going.
for sure.
Actually, just today, the Israeli banking system just said they're going to start using Ethereum to start validating their transactions. So that's pretty big. And I don't know if you heard, but I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, but El Salvador announced that they're going to be accepting Bitcoin as a legal tender because of how hyperinflated and how out of control their current currency has gotten. A lot of South American countries are experiencing like massive hyperinflation right now,
Yeah.
and their currency is basically dirt. It's not
Yeah.
worth much.
It was like
So,
Venezuela, dude.
yeah, Venezuela is bad in particular, but
It's like you could literally have like just massive wheelbarrows of Venezuelan money just all freaking full filled up to the bin, and it just
yeah,
didn't mean anything.
it would be better to burn the Venezuelan notes as heat because you actually save more money by heating your house by burning that stuff.
Dude, that's insane.
It's crazy. But when you think about hyperinflation in the United States, that's I don't want to say that is where we're headed, but we're sort of moving in that direction,
Like
unfortunately.
it's just weird to think that it's actually not out of the realm of possibility.
No, not
You
at
know
all.
what I'm saying? And it's like I feel like we just think like, okay, we live in this time. This is all we know is America and the last 26 years of life for me. And but you think of all of these different civilizations in the past, like Rome and all these different things, and this happened to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fiat currency always fails after a couple hundred years. It happens every single time.
It's
When
crazy.
the biggest mistake that the United States and the Federal Reserve made was allowing Richard Nixon to pass a bill that took the dollar off of the gold standard, which
Yeah.
separated the value of gold from the dollar. So since the 1970s,
1971, I think.
yeah, 1971. Since 1971, the dollar has essentially only been held up by the belief in the dollar. That's it. There's
Yeah.
no tie. There's no intrinsic value in the dollar. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
And sometimes there isn't even the okay, well, before I say that, because before when we're on the gold standard, what that means to my understanding is we only print as much money as we have gold, right? So like if a gold bar is worth $1,000, if we have a gold bar, we can print $1,000. Is that correct, or am I misunderstanding?
I'm not actually sure
Okay.
how the printing of money related to the gold standard in particular, but I
Okay.
do know it held the dollar at a certain value. It was a way to check, like, hey, this is gold, this is a dollar. What do these mean together?
Right.
Um, Now that we're off of that, dollars like what does the dollar even mean anymore? It's like when
Yeah.
government can print trillions and trillions of dollars and bail out these massive conglomerate corporations with U.S. taxpayer money at that. Uh, like, what does that mean for the dollar? Like, you're literally oversaturating the market at that point. Uh, we need to sort of figure out how to become deflationary, but I don't see that happening. I don't see the United States government trying to make fiat currency, our fiat currency, the U.S. dollar, deflationary anytime soon, because they keep on
Yeah.
proving over and over and over again,
They
we're
just
just
don't
going to keep
care.
on printing money for whatever we need.
Yeah. It's just kicking the can down the road. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I
And
actually have a tweet pulled up here. There was a COVID relief bill passed in the beginning of January for many trillions of dollars.
yeah.
Um, in the COVID relief bill, the word missile appeared 19 times.
You said
The, the,
missile?
the word missile appeared
Okay.
19
Okay.
times in the bill itself.
Yeah.
The word aircraft appeared 208 times. The word munition appeared 46 times. Weapon, 46 times. Healthcare, 24 times. Doctor slash nurse, 5 times. Masks, zero. Zero. This is the COVID relief bill. Like, this is
Yeah.
like they're constantly sneaking in all of these different ways to spend more and more and more and print more and more and more, and they
Yeah.
call it whatever they want. They called that a COVID relief bill
Yeah.
when they mentioned barely any. They didn't mention masks at all. They didn't mention anything that had to pertain to COVID. It's just
Yeah.
it's all just government spending for more bombs.
Yeah. That's freaking
So
crazy.
yeah, if they're going to keep on printing trillions and trillions of dollars, like, how do you expect people to react? They're gonna put their money in other places
For
that
sure.
doesn't involve the dollar fiat currency.
For sure. And I heard because I don't. It was one of Joe Biden's speeches in the past couple months, but he was talking about how we're not going to raise taxes on anyone that makes less than like I think it was like $400,000 a year or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, that is so okay. That may be true, but it's also so misleading because inflation basically is a tax on everyone. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you end up making less. Like, the big problem with the minimum wage right now is that it has not followed the rate of inflation right now. So the minimum
Right.
wage becomes worth less and less and less.
Right.
So that's one
And
that's one aspect.
yeah, and also if you have savings, your savings is also dropping in value as well.
Yeah, you wanna definitely have some emergency money on hand,
Yes.
but you don't want to be storing massive amounts of money, because it's becoming worth less and less and less by the day. Like,
For
literally
sure.
literally by the day. The last thing you'd want to be doing right now is saving any more money than you need for emergencies.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, saving dollars.
Yes.
Yes.
Very yes. Dollars. When I
Dude,
talk about
I've been catching
I'm an
my
American. I think of money as dollars. I'm stupid.
I've
Money
been
equals
I've been
dollars.
I've been catching myself, dude. I've been catching myself recently. And I was like sending a text in a group text like about crypto or whatever. And Elizabeth, like kind of like tongue in cheek, kind of like joking with me. She was like, "Oh, are you talking about that fake money?" And I was like, "No, I'm not talking about the dollar. I'm talking about cryptocurrency. Let's
Oh,
go." But
dude.
yeah, and so it's just funny to change your perspective and like start thinking in those terms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot of people throw shade at cryptocurrency because they're like, oh, it's not, you can't touch it, it's not real, it's digital, it's fake, it's in the internet. It's like, no, it's actually just as real as the dollar. You give the dollar credit right now.
For
Most
sure.
of dollar transactions are done digitally.
Right.
Whenever you swipe a credit card, that's a digital transaction.
Yeah.
If you're not paying with physical paper money, you are paying digitally.
For sure.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
So
And like, because when you're swiping your credit card, from what I understand, physical money is not really moving anywhere.
no,
Like
no, physical. Like I said, if you try to go to if you, especially like a small bank, if you try to go to a small bank and try to withdraw like more than like 10 grand, they're probably going to say, first of all, they're going to ask you why you're doing it, which is kind of BS in that regard because it's your
right.
money. You use it whatever, but they'll ask you why you want to take out that much money, and then they'll probably tell you, oh, we don't have that much money in our vault right now.
Yeah.
So
And then they
yeah,
got to either send you somewhere else or they got to get it like somehow delivered
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
And that's
At
going to
the end
take
of
a
the day,
while.
when you put large sums of money in a bank, you don't own that money. You really don't. You basically are putting your faith into the fact that they say they're going to have your
Keep
money.
it secure.
Yeah, you are relying on someone to keep track of your money, which I mean, it can be good, but a lot of times it can be bad too because they can mess up. They can
Yeah.
yeah, they can that's why I love crypto so much. You literally own it. It is yours. You
Yeah.
have to be careful with it. You can make mistakes and lose it, but it is yours. It's you own it, and you technically don't own your money when you are putting your money into a bank account at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
And I think and at the end of the day, that's going to make some people excited because it almost comes down to like a personal responsibility thing. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for
Like
sure.
if you're willing to take on the personal responsibility to have your money and own your money, then you get to have this sort of benefit. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
most people, I don't know, well, maybe not most people, but a lot of people, I mean, like we've seen with COVID, they're willing to throw away freedoms and responsibility and shy away from responsibility to basically have like perceived or what they believe is safety,
hmm
just in order to be safe. And
when
so,
you end up relying on someone heavily, you essentially become a slave. That's what it
yeah,
boils down to. You are reliant on them and not yourself, and that is like a form of slavery.
for sure. Dang.
So we were talking earlier about mining and the potential energy costs of proof of work,
Yeah.
and a lot of FUD, a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt has been cast on Bitcoin and crypto in general recently because people are like, "Oh, the energy costs are insane. It's not green energy," and it's like,
Yeah.
well, compared to what? Like,
Right.
so I'm looking at this chart now. This is a my source is Galaxy Digital. I'll show you the chart in a second.
Okay.
But the entire banking system uses 250 terawatt hours per year. The
Okay.
entire gold mining industry uses almost the exact same amount, so 250 terawatt hours. The
Okay.
entire Bitcoin blockchain mining scene, so the validation of transactions and stuff,
Yeah.
uses just over 100 terawatt hours.
Okay.
So when you think about the
Wait,
news sources,
100 trillion or just 100?
100 terawatt hours.
Wait,
So
and then
less than half of both gold and banking individually. So I
okay.
mean, if you for
You,
a
you said
visual
you said banking uses 200?
for a visual, there it is, right there for you.
Okay.
The blue is Bitcoin, the yellow is gold, and
Yeah.
the gray is traditional banking systems.
Okay.
and you hear all this fun about how dirty and how energy inefficient Bitcoin is. Well, it's like compared to what?
Yeah.
Compared to running your lawnmower, sure, it's tons and tons of energy. But compared to the banking system and the gold industry, it's like a small fraction. Like this is the amount of misinformation that the media is throwing at here is just incredible, and it's so blatant and it's so obvious
Yeah.
to people who are in deep in the trenches of Bitcoin. But for the average person, they're just reading a headline and saying, "Oh yeah, it uses lots of energy." But it's like,
Right.
again, compared to what?
Yeah,
Compared
for
to
sure.
compared to gold, it uses way less energy.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And then also like just in terms of the government and the media and whatnot, another good thing about crypto is basically like if the government decided like, hey, we don't want people to use crypto anymore, basically
mhm.
it's illegal. In essence, what they would have to do is essentially shut down the internet for everyone in America, which is just like basically impossible, I would think.
Yeah, that a lot of people think or speculate that the United States government might crack down on cryptocurrency sooner or later. But the fact is, they love Bitcoin. It's pretty trackable. A blockchain is transparent. You can, if you know the wallet address of a specific person or just the wallet address of a specific wallet,
Okay.
you can look at every single transaction that has been done on that wallet, on that address. It's
Okay.
it's very transparent. So the United States obviously likes that transparency because then they can tax it very easily. Bitcoin is it's very easily traceable and it's very easily taxable. And I get people always say like, "Oh, I'm just not going to pay taxes on it at the end of the year." It's like, no, you better pay your taxes, or they're going to come knocking at your door.
Is,
Uh,
is the government requiring taxes on Bitcoin right now
yeah,
or
yes,
crypto?
yes. Just this past year, they now have a section on your taxes that is specifically for cryptocurrency, and you must put down all transactions that have occurred. So there's something called
Frank, dude, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, so there's something called short-term capital gain,
Okay.
and there's something called long-term capital
Yeah.
gain. So if you are only holding on to your crypto for like a couple months and then you trade it into fiat currency, that falls under short-term capital gain, and that's taxed
Yeah.
pretty heavily. I think it's around 30% tax
Yeah.
that you have to pay.
Okay.
But
And that's similar to like a house or something. Like if you
sure.
buy a house, flip it and sell it within
Mhm.
under 2 years, then I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's like 30%.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you hold on to that crypto for longer than a year, I'm pretty sure it's just a year, longer than a year, you incur long-term capital gains, and I think that's like 10%. It's much lower.
Okay.
So
So let's say theoretically, just to make it make sense, let's say I mine $100 worth of any crypto like Ethereum or whatever. And then let's just say for this example, it stays at that point because based on the value of the specific coin, it's going to be fluctuating up and down, even
yeah,
like inside your wallet.
so with mining in particular, mining taxes are much different than just putting your money into a cryptocurrency.
Okay.
When you're mining, the tax is determined the day that the markets close. So I forget what time the day of the market technically closes, because the crypto markets never close, unlike the stock market, which I think it runs from 9 to 4.
Okay.
Stock market. Crypto runs 24/7, 365 all the time, and there's a certain cutoff, obviously, of each day. So when you are rewarded into your wallet, the crypto that you mined, they tax it specifically on what the currency was worth on that specific day.
Okay.
So let's say you mine some Ethereum and it's worth like absolute dog crap. It's worth like, $100.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden in a year, it's worth $2,000. When you go to sell that crypto, they look at it and they only tax it as if that transaction was worth $100
Right.
when you mined it.
Because that's when you mined it. Okay.
Yeah. So, but also if you mined it and it's worth a lot and then it's worth less when you try to go sell it,
that's not good.
then that's not good.
Okay. Interesting.
But
well, that's good to know.
Yeah, when you're investing money into it, you are not taxed. Like if you go to an exchange and you say, I'm going to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, you are not taxed until you complete the transaction, as in until you trade it back into US dollars. You're not taxed until then.
Okay.
And also if you make a loss on it, which I mean, you don't want to take out your money on a loss, but if you lose money on it, you aren't taxed at all. You are only taxed on the gains of it. So if you put in $100 and then you take out, and then a year later it's worth $105, you are only taxed on that $5 that you made from the transaction.
Yeah. Okay.
So taxes for people who aren't mining are much, much easier. It's actually incredibly easy for taxes if you're just dumping money into it, because you aren't taxed until you take out the money.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I was saying, the US government loves Bitcoin and they love crypto because they can get more tax revenue from it at the end of the day. They love it. I don't see the United States government banning it anytime soon, especially with Joe Biden's new proposed crypto tax, which is around 40%. So, yeah, I saw those eyebrows, right? Yeah, everyone, no one's happy about that, but there's too much. There's too much money being made. The government can't look the other way. They got to get their grubby hands all over it.
Yeah, I guess.
So that's why you definitely want to hold on to your crypto as long as you possibly can to avoid heavy taxes. Because if you're day trading crypto, you're getting taxed really, really hard on it.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that. All right. I think that's all the questions I have. You have anything else you wanted to throw in there?
Let's see here. So I actually want to get into a little bit why Ethereum is so valuable.
Okay.
Because I think Ethereum and Bitcoin are, again, not financial advice.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think they are the best coins to be investing in long term.
Okay.
Because with these other alternative coins, they go up and down like crazy. But
yeah.
Bitcoin and Ethereum, well, Bitcoin in particular has been around for more than 10 years. And whenever something in technology lasts for more than 10 years, the odds of it lasting another 10 years are like exponentially increased. So Bitcoin's going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
Ethereum, the reason Ethereum is so lucrative is because it solves a lot of the issues on the internet that involve banks getting in the way of your money, basically.
Okay.
There are these things called dApps. Have you ever heard of dApps?
I have not.
Decentralized applications.
Okay.
So in a traditional app, like we're using Zoom right now, in Zoom, there's this UI that we see. We can interact with it, touch things, click things, whatever. And it talks to a server. I don't know what Zoom uses as their server, but it talks to that server, and ultimately that server hosts all your information, and it is vulnerable to attacks and hacks, and your data is at risk when you're putting your information out there on a server. Essentially, there's hacks that happen every single day.
Okay.
They ultimately have full control of whatever you're interacting with and performing on their server. And like I said, it sets up a single point of failure. So if they hack that one server, they got all the information. They got it all.
Okay.
So with a decentralized database like Ethereum's blockchain, data hacks are not as easy as breaking into a single database. So there are around 25,000 network nodes. Like, you remember I was talking about nodes where,
Yeah.
these blocks are created on the blockchain. There are around 25,000 network nodes spread across the entire world, validating all this information all at once.
Okay.
So you would need to shut them down like all at once and take over all of the computers all at once to be able to retrieve that information. It is insane the amount of security that provides to Ethereum and the apps, the applications and software built on it. So
okay, so that's why these different companies and different things, if they use the Ethereum network, that means that if someone wanted to, if they're like Russian hackers wanted to hack into your servers now or whatever, they would have to basically simultaneously roll their proverbial face on the keyboard and hack all the 25,000 nodes at the exact same time.
Yeah, it would be a nearly impossible task. You would need insane amounts of manpower, capital, everything.
You would have to fill up
it's basically impossible, essentially.
Yeah, you would have to fill up like all of Russia with just like freaking warehouses of
I can't even comprehend or imagine the amount of work and man hours and money that it would take to do such a thing. Yeah, it's just insane. So yeah, that's that decentralization that you hear all the time in a blockchain like Ethereum. That is what the decentralization is. It is not a single server somewhere that someone can easily get access to.
Right.
It is thousands and thousands and thousands of network nodes set up across the entire world that are verifying these transactions all the time. So that's what gives it such good security, in my opinion.
Dang, that's crazy. I didn't really get that before, but that makes a lot more sense.
DApps aren't explained as well. I mean, a lot of faults for why people don't trust crypto in general as well is there's not a lot of good information out there, or easy. I shouldn't say good. I should say easy to digest information.
Yes.
Because it's really overwhelming. You're like, what the heck is a blockchain and a DApp and a smart contract? What? How? What?
Yeah.
Like, there definitely needs to be some sort of easy way for people to wrap their heads around it. Because once you do sort of wrap your head around it, it's not that complicated. It makes a lot of sense. It's not internet magic. It's just numbers. It's just it's taking away the ability for human beings to manipulate money is essentially, and money and data, I should say.
Yeah.
Value. So yeah, because I mean, it's just human nature. They want human beings want power and they want money, and a lot of people will do bad things to get that. So
for sure.
So I'm going to get into smart contracts. This is like the last point I basically want to touch on too.
Okay.
Ethereum was built with smart contracts in mind. When you think of a contract, it's an agreement between two parties that they're going to do something. That's exactly what a smart contract is, except the smart contract is a program or a piece of software that is baked into a block on the blockchain. So if you think about what a contract does, instead of there needing to be, a good example is the Kickstarter service. Have you heard about Kickstarter?
Yeah, it's like if you're trying to fund a book or some kind of project or something.
Yeah, if you're trying to fund any project, people can get together and they pool their money into the project if they believe in it, and they fund it, or don't fund it, and then they get their money back. You are relying on the ability for Kickstarter to give your money to the organization or project that you want it to go to, and at the same time you're relying on Kickstarter to give you a refund if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So you can eliminate that middleman with smart contracts, essentially, and it is only you and whatever project you want to fund that are interacting with each other. There's no middleman. It is just it is you, the blockchain, and the other person. So it's essentially just you and your money interacting with someone else's money. It's
Okay.
It essentially gets rid of the biggest point of failure, which is the middleman. At the end of the day, that's all. At the end of the day, crypto is all about getting rid of the middleman, because that's where all the manipulation usually happens.
Okay. Yeah, I heard. Did you listen? What was it? There's this thing called Chainlink, and that's like one of the. And then the guy who invented Chainlink was on Lex Friedman's podcast.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to listen to it. And he talked about smart contracts. And that's where I kind of learned about that.
Cardano?
Maybe? I'm not sure.
I saw a brief video of the creator of Cardano on Lex Friedman's podcast, and the creator of Cardano was also a creator of Ethereum. He was one of the major players in the creation of Ethereum.
He was on there too, but this is a different guy who made Chainlink.
Okay.
And he was mainly talking about, and one example that he used that kind of helped me out in understanding smart contracts is like, you know how with like auto insurance companies, they kind of base it off of like different things as far as like age. So like if like a 16-year-old is driving like a new Mustang, your price is going to be super high.
Yeah.
Because of those factors, right? And then and then sort of like the middleman, I guess you could say, would be your insurance agent, and he's going to kind of figure out what your price is.
Yeah.
But what you could do, like theoretically in the future with a smart contract, is you could basically decide with your insurance company and have some sort of let's say like a GPS tracker in your car or something, or the ability for them to track like how fast you're going and basically like the safety of your driving. So they could say like, okay, if you drive in this like safety range of whatever that quality is, then we'll charge you this much per month. But if you start driving like a crazy person and start, racing people and drag racing on the streets,
then you're GTA in real life.
Then you're gonna have to pay more in this medium or even the high risk bracket because you just drive like a crazy person. No matter if you're a 16-year-old in a Mustang or if you're just 35 in a Honda Civic or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then because all of that is tracked like through the technology, then all of that information is loaded up into the blockchain. And so your insurance agent can't change his mind. He can't switch it. It's automatically uploaded in there. And then basically the algorithm that you and your insurance company decided to like agreed on at the start is computed, and then you pay that certain amount of money that you already agreed to. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way, like what you were saying earlier, is that there's no way for a middleman to basically screw you over and say, yeah, I know we agreed to this, but now there's a update to our terms of service, and now you got to pay this much. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like with cable companies, when you're paying $60 and then all of a sudden you're paying like $120 for cable. You're just like, what the frick is going on?
Yeah. That's why smart contracts are so necessary, honestly, for where we're headed in this internet digital age that we're in right now. It eliminates manipulation at the end of the day. It is automated money, automated transactions that happen on the most secure way of tracking money, which is the blockchain.
Yep.
It's great stuff.
Yeah. And I think like because the way that money is being tracked and secured right now, I don't think people really understand how unsecure it actually is.
Yeah.
You know what
Again,
I'm saying?
the single point of failure is it's bad. These banking systems rely on these servers that at the end of the day they can be compromised. They can your information and your money honestly can be compromised with these old ways that these banking systems are stuck in.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know what to really believe anymore, but it's just like recently, as far as like the hacking of the oil company or whatever, and then like in Texas, they don't have their oil because it got like shut down or something or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I heard recently something like part of the reason why the meat prices are rising is because they also hacked like the meat industry or something. I don't.
Yeah, that there was, I forget the name of it, but there was some meat packing industry that was compromised, I think, by the exact same uh, exploit that they used for the pipeline hack. The our infrastructure, our digital infrastructure in the United States is complete garbage. It has not been updated in forever. It runs on a language, a dead computer language called COBOL.
Okay.
And COBOL hasn't been used for like 30 years, something like that. And
That's
the only people
crazy.
that know how to work these computers at this point and interact with the language are old people that learned it back in school, back in like the 80s and the 80s and 90s. Like seriously, no one knows how to work these things because they're so old. But I'll tell you who knows how to work it: foreign entities that want to
Yeah.
extort money or, crash markets or manipulators, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
We definitely need to start putting more money back into our infrastructure. That's the only way we're kind of going to get out of this hyperinflation mess we're sort of in. If you look back at the end of World War II, we borrowed a lot of money. We took on a lot of debt to
Yeah.
pay for all of the stuff that we needed to fight in World War II. But when we came back and the war was done, what we did is we kept on spending, but the government kept on spending money, but they also put that money right back into our infrastructure. It built highways. It provided jobs to people. You literally, you put the money back into your own economy, you're
Yeah.
gonna see an economic boom.
Yeah.
That's
For
that's the
sure.
big issue with how our government is spending money today. We're spending money on bombs. We're spending money on foreign nations. We're not investing anymore into our own country,
Yeah.
which
Spending
I mean, it doesn't bode well for the people living here.
Yeah.
You know?
Spending it on gain of function research.
Yeah,
Yeah. It
spending on
also,
Wuhan lab
yeah.
function research.
Oh, we don't want to get this video taken down right at the end, dude. But it also helped. I heard that I don't know if this is true, but I heard that so like when the Germans were basically taking over a lot of Europe in World War II, since and like when they were taking over like a lot of France, any banks that had any gold, I mean, the Germans just took it, right? And so they're just going to take it. And so all these other countries started sending us their gold because they were worried that they were going to get overrun by the Germans and then lose it all. And so then we became almost like a safe for all these countries to have their gold. And then basically after the war, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to kind of keep that.
I didn't know about that. That's
I,
really funny. That's like the most American way of doing that. That's hilarious.
It's like, yeah, we're
This
just
is
gonna
ours
like
now.
keep all of this. Yeah. I don't have like a source necessarily. I just heard that. But I just thought that was kind of funny. So that kind of helps the economy out a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, taking
Just
everyone's
keep,
gold.
yeah, just taking everyone's gold. But all right, dude, this was good. And I feel
Yeah,
like
this is a good stuff.
I learned a lot, and I feel like people who are just starting at like ground zero on crypto will definitely be able to learn a good amount here.
Yeah, like I
So
said, people should not be afraid of crypto because the fact that you can lose it all, just don't be an idiot. Just
yeah,
make sure you know what you're doing.
yeah,
Um, it once you know what you're doing, it becomes extremely hard to mess up.
yeah.
Yeah, it's great technology.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah,
Future. We're moving into the future.
future.
All right, man. It was
Thanks
good
for having me
talking to
on, dude.
you. Yeah,
This
yeah,
is a good time. I
for
liked it.
sure. This is we'll have to do more different either like political or economic ones
Yeah, man,
in
for
the
sure.
future.
I'll
I would
come
love
back
to do
on.
that.
Yeah,
I've been listening to a lot of well, you know Brett Weinstein. I've been
Yeah,
listening
Brett Weinstein's awesome. I like that
yeah,
guy.
I've been listening to him recently and like talking about ivermectin, a medicine for COVID that was basically like uh looked over, I think purposely because if they like acknowledged the validity of the medicine, then they wouldn't have been able to like put out all these vaccines and whatnot.
Yeah, there's big incentives for these pharmaceutical companies to make vaccines, and there's a big
Yeah,
incentive for them to keep on making them.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like we could go another hour on that. So
We definitely could. But before we do, we better stop right now.
yeah. All right, dude. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for doing this. This is fun.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. This is
All
a good
right.
time.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Later.
All right. Peace.